In this video, we are going to be building some sort of tank. We will go over the highest possible hit points as well as a multitude of ways to reduce damage. I had a commenter request this, so here we go. If you want me to do a video on something, just leave a comment. I do read basically all of them. But what is the maximum damage a player can take without immunities? Even my recent Undying character could take less damage than this character without dropping to 0 hit points, as the max damage that character could take without dropping to 0 hit points would be 260 damage. This one would be able to do far more. This is XP Goblin. So we are going to avoid features that completely remove all damage, such as evasion or features that allow you to drop to 1 hit point instead of 0. This build is just going to tank the damage, or just find ways to reduce it. So of course the easiest way to tank a bunch of damage is to have the highest possible hit points, which is really simple to do. Be a Hill Dwarf for an extra 1 hit point per level, so a total of 20 extra hit points at level 20. Be a level 20 Barbarian to have your Constitution score be 25. Take the Tough Feat for extra 2 hit points each level for an additional 40 hit points. Take the Epic Boon of Fortitude for another 40 hit points. Somehow roll the maximum on your hit dice every single time, which has a 1 in this number chance of happening. And congrats, you now have a total maximum hit points of 480. You can increase this even further with a friend somehow casting a 9th level aid on you, as aid can be upcast, granting the target additional boost to their hit point maximum. This is not temporary hit points. A 9th level aid gets your hit point maximum to a total of 520 hit points, over halfway to passing the 4-digit barrier. Really quick, consider subscribing if you're not already. I'm a very new D&D channel with a bunch more videos planned. Anyway, next we are going to add temporary hit points. And in the new 2024 rules, there's one spell that is by far the greatest at granting temporary hit points: Polymorph. So the new Polymorph spell states that rather than changing the player's hit points into that of the beasts, it grants temporary hit points that are equal to the beast's hit points. And these temporary hit points do not go away when concentration ends, as now temporary hit points only go away on a long rest. So if you are polymorphed into a sperm whale, then concentration is dropped on you, you'd gain an additional 189 temporary hit points, bringing your total hit points to 709. Now that you are a super beefy dude, we need ways to reduce the damage taken. We are a barbarian, so there's the obvious bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage resistances, meaning that if we were hit by a big rock dealing 1,417 damage, so long as we were raging, we'd still have 1 hit point. There are a multitude of reactionary ways to reduce damage as well, such as the Stone Giant's Goliath Stone's Endurance, which allows you to reduce damage by 1d12 plus your Constitution modifier, so a maximum of 19 damage reduced. Now, assuming you take this reaction after your damage resistance kicks in, you could then take 1,455 points of damage. There's many similar reaction features, such as Deflect Attack, Shield Master Feat, basically giving you evasion, or Uncanny Dodge, which just halves the damage taken, not a resistance. So if you were 5 levels into Rogue, you could be resistant and take half damage as well. Your maximum hit points would be significantly less thanks to lesser hit dice and no epic boon or higher con score. So your max hit points would be 380, again ignoring the crazy odds that would be required, plus the 189 temporary hit points for a grand total of 569 hit points, a whole 140 hit points different than the Barbarian. But you can now reduce damage taken twice, so long as somehow this is all in one damage roll. You could now tank an attack that deals 2,275 bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Now what if it wasn't an attack? What if it was a spell that somehow dealt like 3,000 points of damage? Well, I don't know how you'd come across that, but if you were back to our max game HP Barbarian, and were not raging and had the magic initiative feat granting the spell absorb elements, and we were hit by a spell that dealt elemental damage, and you succeeded on your saving throw, which you do have advantage on thanks to danger sense, this would mean that the damage would be halved thanks to succeeding, and halved again thanks to absorb elements, meaning you could be still alive even if somebody hit you with a spell that dealt 2,834 points of damage, succeeding bringing it down to 1,417, and absorb elements bringing it down to 708.5, and according to base rules, damages are always rounded down, so 708, leaving you with 1 hit point. I think this is the most damage one player can tank without any sort of immunity or a feature that negates all damage. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. Later.